Welcome back to Podiatry Marketing. I'm your host, Jim McDaniel, joined by always my co-host, Tyson Franklin. Tyson, how's it going today?
I'm great today, Big Jim. How you doing?
Things are good. Things are good. The winter is almost over, right? So I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's been a cold one, a windy one, but what is it now? Not too far away from springtime. So no complaints here.
But seriously, being the end of February, when does the snow actually stop where you are?
Yeah, things start to slow down a bit in March. It's not insanely cold in March generally. It can kind of go two ways, but I'm pretty optimistic. I think this year, we had it so bad in December and January that March is going to be a good one for us.
It's always fun and games. Okay, let's get on to our topic for today.
Yeah. So
Let's
what are you going
get
to jump
stuck
into today?
podiatry marketing.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about it is marketing related and it's sort of business related, but people could also take it just as career related as well. So the title is Do Less and Do It Better.
Okay.
And I think what happens is, just as health professionals in general, we're so eager to just take on more, learn new skills. And I think sometimes before we've even mastered a skill or become really, really proficient at it, we can sort of say we're like better than most in our area of doing it. We're so eager just to move on to the next thing because everybody else is learning something new. So they feel that they must just keep doing the next thing. And I think as it applies to us being a podiatrist, yes. But I also think as a business owner, we've got to look at basically the same thing. There's so many aspects of a business that we can be taken on, and we can become extremely average in a lot of things, or we can start focusing on certain things in our business and just do it better than what everybody else does, how everybody else is actually doing
Yeah.
it.
So kind of like trying to be more of a master than a jack of all trades. Jack of all trades, master of none. Try to be the opposite of that. Kind of go deep on things as opposed to being kind of a general expert on everything under the sun.
Yeah, well, a perfect example could be audio. Someone's listening to this podcast and they can hear us now and they understand how awesome we sound. But it might be they want to do some audio recordings for their business, but they don't know what to do. But if it's something that you feel that, well, if I had learned how to use audio better, I could use it in my podiatry business in so many different ways, whether they're doing it for marketing or they might be doing it for team training. They might have a list of manuals that they're thinking, instead of them having to read through it, what about if I did an audio recording of it and they could listen to it after hours, or I could do examples on this is how you use this equipment. So as they're doing it, they're listening to me explain it. Now you can do a recording that's crap. And when the person's listening to it, you're actually hurting their ears at the same time and they can't wait for it to end. Or you can make the quality better through better microphones, knowing where to have it positioned, maybe doing some courses on audio, how to edit that audio better. So if you know that's something you want to get better at, instead of just moving on to something else and doing audio poorly, don't move on to something else and stick with your audio and just get better at doing it and be better than most people in your market with that particular skill.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like you can't, the more you spread yourself thin, the less you are kind of a generalist. So, like you said, being a specialist of the foot and ankle, once you're going into something, it's good to really master those skills so you can, the bright shiny objects are tough to ignore at times, right? This week it's video and the next week it's audio. And if you just kind of like put yourself like as a hamster on the wheel, you're going to be exhausted at some point. But by going deep and really learning how to use some of these tools and opportunities with different technologies or different skill sets, I think it's some really sound advice.
Well, if you think of social media, for example, there's so many platforms that you could actually use. And I was talking to someone the other day and they said TikTok came up in conversation. And they said, when TikTok first came out, I said to my team, and he had a really young team, that I think this could be something we could actually use business-wise. And they'll go, but it's just a bunch of 16-year-old girls dancing. He's going, yeah, but it could be more than that. I'm not quite sure. He said, I can see how it could be used as a business application. And now there's a lot of business information that's actually on TikTok. But yeah, you've got Facebook, you've got Instagram, you've got TikTok, you've got YouTube channels. There's so many avenues. It's hard to be really, really good on all of them. So instead of trying to add more onto what you're doing, pick the ones that you know that you might enjoy, the ones that you know your patients are sort of on, and just keep improving. How can I get better on Instagram if that's what we want to use? And don't just copy what everybody else is doing. Think about, because you would have seen it, this gym people on Instagram where they're standing there and they're like pointing up in the air, pointing to the side, and all these messages
Yeah,
flash up.
yeah, I've seen those. Yeah,
And I'm like, yeah, when I first time I saw it, I thought, wow, that is interesting. The 100th time I've seen it from the 100th podiatrist, I'm like, it's no longer interesting. It's actually boring. You would have seen the ones where the people held the cards up and they dropped the cards and they were telling a message, usually a sad message. And first time I saw it, interesting. Probably the third time I saw it, interesting. The 50th time I saw it, it's no longer interesting. It's, you're just doing what everybody else is doing. So I think you got to find where you fit, say, in social media, and then try and get better in that particular area and have your own style to it.
yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think like you talked about, I think understanding where the patients are that you want to treat. Maybe it is TikTok for a younger generation. Maybe it's still print media if you're in taking care of seniors or folks who are a little bit older. So yeah, finding that right channel with the right message and just like you said, just practicing and getting better, and it kind of speaking to unique value you provide for those types of patients in a way that yeah isn't trendy but helpful. If you're being helpful and providing value to those patients, will definitely be appreciated.
Yeah. If you think about what you're going to talk about, I mean, podiatry is so broad. I mean, it's such a broad profession and what you can talk about. So you could know a little bit about everything in podiatry and be a real generalist, or there could be certain parts of podiatry that you really focus on and get better than other people. And then you take that skill and you apply it into your marketing or how you talk to your patients, or whether it's social media. I think if we constantly just keep trying to take on more, and I've said this before, sometimes you got to let something go to be able to fit something else in. You can't just keep fitting more in. And I think podiatrists in their businesses, they have a look at all the equipment that's there. What equipment is sitting around that's got dust on it that you no longer use? Are you better to just get rid of it and say, okay, we don't need that anymore? And I know some people are reluctant to let something go because they think, well, that piece of equipment I paid X for, if I don't use it now and get rid of it, am I just telling my team that was a bad decision? And to me, it's a bad decision to hang on to it if you're no longer using it. Free up the space. Maybe it's taking up room in a corner where you could have something else in there.
I think like you touched on there, time is probably the most valuable resource that someone owning a practice has. Whether it's taking care of patients, managing a staff, doing the paperwork, running the business side of the practice. You have to find time and make time because it's just not going to show up, right? So you have to prioritize and really just make time to learn some new skills and double down on what's working in your practice.
Yeah. And if you think, the business aspects, so many parts of your business, do you want to get better at marketing? Well, if you do, then listen to this podcast every week. That's going to help. Read marketing books. If you or I were running a marketing workshop, is make the effort to take some time off of work and actually be there. Don't think it's just going to all happen for you. Yeah, there's going to be a magic pill. Do you want the blue pill or the red pill? And you're going to take that pill and all of a sudden you're going to wake up and everything is going fantastic. If you look at your business, you want to be better at communicating and building a cohesive team. You have to put time and effort in to get better at that. But you can't be fantastic at everything. And that's why sometimes you need help from other people.
No, for sure. Nobody can do it alone.
So a couple of questions that I like people to actually ask themselves is, is there something that you've always wanted to be better at? Whether it's a certain aspect of podiatry. Had a lady that was on the Podiatry Legends podcast, and she had done like 10 or 17 years, I think, of like general foot care, but wanted to get more into biomechanics. She knew that she didn't have that skill anymore. Oh, I had to cough. So she knew she didn't have that skill anymore. So she made a conscious effort. If I want to treat more sports and biomechanics patients, I need to learn that skill more. So she put a lot of time and effort into it and ended up achieving that at the end. So I think that's one thing. What do you want to be better at? Or is there something that you're already good at that you want to improve? I think that's an important one as well.
Yeah, I think anyone can benefit from self-reflection. Like we're still relatively early in the year. It's kind of like people are still optimistic about 2023 and reflecting
Yeah.
reflecting on like, why did you get into practice in the first place? What is that right combination of business opportunity and something you really enjoy doing that provides, you professional satisfaction? And then kind of, making a long-term plan to develop those skills or improve those skills so you can do more of that. There's I think I know a lot of people are in the practice, they're in it for the long run, but sometimes we get stuck in the day to day and we get stuck from week to week. But
Mm.
it is those times, if it's learning a new skill or improving something that it takes months, years, maybe, hopefully it'll be pretty good by a decade, but you need to have reasonable expectations for yourself because life is busy. But if you keep on putting in the work, it's like going to the gym, right? Like everybody shows up at the gym on January, 3rd or 4th and thinks, okay, now this is
Oh
the year I'm
yeah.
going to get in shape. And by this time of year, most people are not going anymore. It's a similar thing with you and your the skills you want to learn and the things you want to improve on in your practice. Is that consistent time and effort towards developing those skills. Just make it a habit, and sometimes easier said than done. But a long-term approach to these objectives will really pay off.
But have you read that book called The 12-Week Year?
I haven't read the book. No.
Okay, so the 12-week year, if you think of the normal year, so we're towards the end of February now, depending on when someone's actually listening to this, so they might have got to this till March. And a lot of times at the beginning of the year, you set your goals for the year and you're very excited. 2023, this is the year I'm going to do such and such. This will be the year that I'm going to take my business from where it is and take it to that next level. I don't know how I'm going to do it because it's just going to happen automatically, but that's what I'm going to do. And then normally around October, all of a sudden you realize, you find your goals where you had them written down. That's if you wrote them down. It's November. And all of a sudden you bust your ass to try and get these goals accomplished. So they reckon most people achieve more in that last month of the year than they do the previous 11 months because I've got plenty of time. I got plenty of time. Plenty of time. I'll get to that. It's the same as, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to lose X amount by this time. And you give yourself 12 weeks to do it. And by about the 10th week, you go, I'm a little bit off. I've lost 1 kilo out of the 10 I was going to lose. And then you're trying to kill yourself in the next 2 weeks. And it's just not possible to do it. So the 12-week year is all based around breaking your year into 4 12-week segments. And you set your goals or what it is that you want to achieve or what else you want to learn, what you want to get better at for that 12-week period. And you do that 4 times a year with a week off in between. So 48 plus the 4 weeks off, that's 52 weeks a year. People want to sort of add it up. So the idea is if every 3 months or every 12 weeks, you set yourself a goal that you're going to achieve, you will get something done. You'll be doing that 4 times. So therefore, you've got more chance of actually getting this slight improvement as time goes
Yeah, that
on.
makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, Jim. And I think another thing that people can ask themselves, if it's not what they want to improve, what do they want to fix up? There might be something that whether it's with your business, whether it's marketing, whether it's professional, it could be something personally. That what is something that you need to fix that is going to make other things better? So for example, myself, my ankles have been dodgy for the last couple of years from kicking things, and I've just had MRIs done. I've got fragments floating around all over the place. And the ankle swelling and ankle pain that I have every single day does restrict some of my activity. Doesn't stop me going to Muay Thai and kicking things, but just general day-to-day, I'm thinking, but I might just go and do this and go, my ankle's too sore. I'm just going to rest it. So to me, that's something I need to fix. If long-term for my health, I need to fix that, or otherwise it's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
What is it in your business? What is it with your marketing? or some aspect of your career that you need to fix because it could be holding you back from something better later on. I think it's only a question that you can only ask yourself.
For sure.
Have you got any, Jim? You got anything
Oh,
holding you back? Other than that big woolly beard that you
yeah,
have?
no, I mean, being in my mid 40s, right? Like, I try to stay active and healthy and stuff, but, with work, with having I've got two relatively small kids, you know, sometimes it's hard to kind of, take an hour for yourself each day. And, one thing that I've done over the last 6 months is, like back to lifting weights for the first time since I was basically in college, right? So like,
Oh, has this big Jim got to you now? Has it? We keep saying big Jim. You've gone, that's it. I'm a bulk up.
exactly, exactly. I'm on the juice and I'm just, ready to get huge. But no, I mean, you know, as you get older, the testosterone level drops, those things. So you can find some ways to keep that flowing and also just general strength. Cause, if you lose, 1 or 2% of your strength each year, it doesn't seem like too much until, decade or 2 decades later, you know, you don't have the muscle or that's been, what you thought was muscle is now maybe a little bit of fat or adipose tissue. So, no, I'm trying
I got
trying
a
to
bit of
fix
that.
myself here to just have some general strength so I can be strong and relatively fast to keep up with the little ones. So that's my current kind of goal.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you're only in your 40s now, as your children get faster, you're going to get slower.
Exactly.
So if you don't make a conscious effort now, and this is the same thing, it applies to people's business. They can have a business that's been there for a number of years and it's plodding along and it's going fine. You think, I have no competitors, or there's only two other podiatrists in town. I've got nothing to worry about. They're fat and lazy as well. And we're all doing okay. No one's yeah, creating any ruckus. And then all of a sudden you get some young dude or girl that turns up who has been out 3 to 5 years and is pumped up to the max, and they come in and they start stirring the pot. And by the time you realize the momentum that they've got, it's too late
Yeah.
because you've just become, and then when I say fat and lazy, I'm not saying that you're actually fat and lazy, but your business sometimes gets fat and lazy. It gets successful. And some people think because it's successful, it can't be touched, but it can be.
Yeah, complacency can be a killer. Like you have to be adapting to what the market is, local competitors in the market, just, how the profession is changing, how regulations change. If you just try to like do what you've always been doing, like it can be a dangerous thing for your business.
Yeah, and a podcast I did last year that I posted towards the end of last year called Hair Differently. And on a particular podcast, we were talking about if you're doing everything exactly the same as everybody else in your market, then what sets you apart? If you're all doing the same thing, and it only takes somebody to come along and disrupt what everybody else is doing, that all of a sudden all the eyes turn to them and you sort of just get left behind. And then by the time you realize that, some businesses never recover. They just don't recover from it. Have a look at, I wish Blockbuster would have, was it Blockbuster? Didn't they offer Netflix or Netflix wanted to sell a Blockbuster for $50 million in the early days, and Blockbuster said no?
Yeah, I think something like that.
Yeah. Great business decision. That one was because they saw their model and thought, no, that won't work. People want to come down to our store. They want to leave their house, come down, get a DVD, take it back home, forget to bring it back, pay an extra late fee. And they don't want to just stream something straight into their house and not actually have to leave their home. Who would want to do that?
Well, even before that, they were like mailing DVDs, right? Which seemed like the craziest business model ever. Like to get a DVD in the mail, like it was just when Netflix first started, it was bizarre to start off with.
But the thing is, it was a model that, and it wasn't, when they first set up, it wasn't perfect. It's like if you've got a marketing idea, you can't wait for it to be absolutely perfect. You just got to do it, get some feedback from it. What would you do better the next time you did it? And then make those changes and then do it again and just keep working on it. And over time, things will improve. I know some of the marketing that I did from a podiatry clinic, some of it was awful. It's just terrible. I look back and I go, what were you thinking? But if I hadn't have done the first version of whatever it was I was doing, I wouldn't have had the second, third, fourth until you had the final version that actually worked.
Yep.
If I waited till I had that final version, I don't know what would happen. I'd be on the streets. I wouldn't be doing this podcast.
I'd be awfully lonely doing a solo podcast about podiatry, Mark. I don't know what to do without you there.
You'd be bored. You'd be going, "Hi, I'm Jim. I feel like I'm missing something in my life." And it's because I did version 1. I did exactly what this topic is. I did less and I learned to do it better.
Yeah.
I really focused my marketing into a couple of particular areas that worked really, really well in its day. And as things changed, I kept looking at the figures, looking at the numbers and going, "Oh, okay." For example, television isn't working as well as it used to. This is going back a long time ago now. So I moved away from that, but radio was still quite strong. So we then put a lot of emphasis in the radio. In our local area, we are here in Cairns, radio is still very, very strong. A lot of people still listen to the radio. But I slowly just kept changing. And then back in the old days, you used to do print, and then print moved to more online sort of marketing. But if you don't do that first thing and work out what works, it's going to be hard. You can't wait for the perfect marketing idea to just turn up.
No, for sure. That's great advice.
So I'm done on this subject. I just want people to remember, do less and just do it better than what everybody else is doing. And when you're doing it really, really good, then you can start adding in more things. But as you add things in, remember, sometimes you've got to take something away to actually free up your time to do it better.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, Jim, I will talk to you next week.
Sounds good, Tyson. Later.
Okay, bye.